Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Welcome everyone to Introduction to Industrial Engineering. Today we will continue with engineering systems management. We covered in the previous sessions about the general idea about the engineering system management, what are the methods, application or sub areas that comes under the engineering systems management, like project engineering, systems engineering, feasibility study, engineering management. Also, we defined engineering systems management and the role of the systems analyst. Also, we talked about the steps for the life cycle for the systems development, and we called that was the systems development life cycle, SDLC. Also, we talked about the difference between, we defined the project management, and we identified the difference between process and projects. Also, we talked about the project life cycle, where it starts and where it ends. Today, we will continue with the project management activity. If you recall that we talked about the project management or the project life cycle, the concept, then the planning, then the execution, then the termination. Today we will talk about the activity الأنشطة اللي بتصير في البروجect, not the life cycle. For example, now here we have three major activities that go on the project management: planning, scheduling, and controlling. Usually the planning, scheduling comes on this area, where is the concept and planning. The controlling come during this period, most of the time in the execution, to control the activity. So it's different than the life cycle. دورة حياة المشروع تختلف عن الأنشطة اللي بتصير في إدارة المشروع. Just to distinguish between the two concepts, okay? Now, the list of activities that could come in those three major activity: planning, scheduling, controlling, are more than what we will cover today, but today we're covering the most known and the most frequent used, regardless of the type of the project. For example, for the planning, we identify the objectives, resources, work breakdown structure, organization of the organization, or of the work, sorry. So let's define it here. For the planning, we do time, cost, performance estimates, and identify the project, the scope, who will be the sponsor for the project, the resources that will be provided, who will be the team working for the project, the end time estimated for the project, the agreement between the whole stakeholders for the project goals, the work breakdown structure. We will learn about how we develop this today. As we said, the time and cost for the project, as well as the goals and the performance. This is usually comes in the beginning, where is the planning activities applied. For the scheduling, after you set the plan, you do scheduling, so you can track later and monitor your progress for the project. There are many tools can be used here: sequence activities, like a PERT or critical path for the activities. All of them can work here. Assign people, like for example, there are tools to do that. One is responsibility matrix. Also schedule deliverables, and we can use Gantt Chart, for example, to do that. Schedule resources for the project, if it needs a material or it needs some resources to be available. So you schedule the resources, or even the team member, how they will be allocated in the project. For the last activity, which is the controlling, and this has happened during the execution in the project life cycle. When you start implementing the project, and you set the plan, you set the schedule, you start now monitoring and managing the project activities, using monitor resource cost, quality. There are software applications that do that and help you to have dashboards and some of ease interface to track and monitor your project performance and progress. Revised and change plans if some of the plans you have set from the beginning for some reason some happen, like incident. For example, some projects during the pandemic of COVID-19, it's been delayed and it's been postponed. So these things were out of control. So you have to revise and change your plans and adjust it accordingly. Also shift resources if it's needed based on the plans changes. So this usually happens during the execution of the project. We will start taking examples of those tools. We will cover today 3 tools, one for the project. We will cover for each project activity. For example, for the planning, the first activity, we will today see how we do the work breakdown structure. It's a well-known name, tool, and useful tool to do project more organized from the beginning, so you can even later use this tool as an input for the scheduling. So the output of this tool will help you to start the next activity, which is the scheduling. Work breakdown structure, WBS, simply breaks the work down into a structure. Is the principal tool that articulates scope on a project, and it does so in highly structured way. How does that? For example, here a construction house, this is the project, and then you break down the project activity into first level, which is the major level, and sub number those level 1, we call them. Design for the house, procurement, construction, inspection, turnover. This will be the main activities. And then under each of those first level activities, we will have other sub-activities. For the design, we have permits, تصاريح, drawings, رسومات. The procurement, we have the electrical, plumbing, HVAC, all these اللي هي المشتريات والتجهيزات الخاصة للانفراستراكشر للبيلدينج. الكونستراكشن الإنشائي، الجزء الإنشائي، you have to work on the interior الداخلي والexterior الخارجي. Inspection, we do for the building and for the wall and for the يعني even the اللي هو agencies that do the inspection. يعني أحيانا مثلا you have to follow building codes. الأمانة أو البلديات لها بعض يعني اشتراطات you have to work it out. A turnover, walk through, closing the project, and also the inside the house, what's even if there is a furniture or something. So this level, this is just an example. You can have even more major levels other than those, and you can have even more sub-levels underneath each one. So you group, or what you do exactly, we number cross the principal activities, and then for each thing that flows from those activities, we give it sub-numbering system. For example, here we give start giving number 1 for the first breakdown level, which is for the design. We give it number 1. So all the activities comes sub or flows under the design. We give it a sub numbering 1.1 for the activity that comes under the major activity of the design. 1.2, this is the second activity that comes under the design. If you have another level where also other sub-activities comes, for example, you have 1.3, so you can have 1.31, 1.32, 1.33. If those are sub of the sub-activities of the design. For example, it could happen if there is, especially if you have a big project, or if you would like to scope down the activities into a narrow level. So we end up with a comprehensive list of every activity that needs to be done of this scope of the project, like here, the construction of the house, and the proper way to plan projects to develop your work breakdown structure before you start thinking about which one depend on the other, which one is a sequence of the other activity. So when we start this, as you saw here in the plan, in the planning, we do the work breakdown structure. Before we start do the scheduling and do what is the sequence of the activities and what are the one needed to be completed before the others. يعني the interior, maybe it needs the exterior first to be done, and then you do, or maybe vice versa. So now we are not looking for the sequence. We are just listing all the task and activity needed to be done. So the way you do it here, that will also helps you later in the scheduling. So you start thinking about the activities needed to be done before others, and you start putting the sequence on the dependencies of the activities in the next phase or the next activity level. But here, as you see, we start breaking down the work activity into levels, and each level it will have sub activities, and all of them numbered, so easily to track them, easily to assign them later in the next phase when you do the scheduling, and also gives you the overall picture of how the work will be breakdown among the team, and also how the project will be breakdown into small activities, and you can go to any level you need, vertically or horizontally, and even sub of those sub levels based on your needs and based on how you would like to scope your project. Okay, this is very simple tool. You can do it even without using a specialized software application, but there are softwares do that, like the one we have talked about them in the project management. Also, there is a website dedicated for work breakdown structure. You can visit this website. It's about how you develop work breakdown structure in easy interface. You can visit it and you can do it your own using Excel or Word, or even your hand, you can sketch it. So this is one of the useful tool for breaking down the work and for planning in your project. We will take, for example, this a task, or for, let's say, the tool as a input, or the output of this tool can be used as an input. How we do that? We use it in the second phase of activities, which is the Gantt chart. The Gantt chart is very common used, and we have seen it in many maybe courses. If you are going also to take other courses like project management or even your capstone design project, you are going to develop a Gantt chart. And usually the work breakdown structure that we covered, it's going to be helpful to construct the Gantt chart, because it will be assigning those tasks we developed here into a timeline. Basically, the Gantt chart, it's a simple tool which represents time as a bar. What does it mean? These are bars or lines for the time, horizontally presented. On a chart, the start and finish periods for activity are displayed by the length of the bar, and often the actual progress of the task is also indicated. So we have the time is horizontally listed here with the weeks, days, month, depend on your project duration. And then we have the activity A, activity B, C, D, E, You can put here the activity اللي هو we call it the sub numbering here. For example, I can put 1.1, 1.2, or I can put 2.1, 2.3. Here, by the way, this is a mistake. It should be 2.1 here, not 1.1. 3.1, 3.2. So instead of the A, B, C, D, I can put either the sub activities or the major level activities, and then I can even break them down. For example, here, activity 1, then I have 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, then I have 2, 2.1, 2.2, so on, okay? So then you can put the time duration. Usually, for example, here, the start will be on week 1, and it will end by the end of week 2. Here, week 3, activity B will start and it will end on week 4. The number here, you see it that 2 appeared. That's the total number of resources needed to complete this activity. This is not a requirement to have the number of resources, but it's up to you. Sometimes it's helpful, depend on the project nature you're working on. For example, resources, material, or people who work in that activity, you can just put it, or even you can put their names if you want to, or you can just put numbers and then you have a key legend for those numbers. So it's really depend on you, but the main representation for the Gantt chart is the start and the end time. As you can see here, the start on week 1 and end at the end of week 2, and that meaning when it start the activity and when it's end. So even you can see the timeline for all the activities and the sub activities of your project in one chart, so you can track it and monitor the progress, and you can change the color of those bars here based on the progress level. For example, you can put red is not started, yellow it's in progress, green that's mean completed. You can change how it's represented. The concept is the same. Then there is a wide range of representing how the Gantt chart could be appeared and how more information can be added to the Gantt chart. So I'm moving on with the other tool for also scheduling. And as you assign the task and you put the interval time for each task, and you label them, and you put the sub-numbering also for each task, and you put the time. Now maybe it's the time to assign it and assign that task for the team. Using a responsibility matrix is one of the tools that can be used for that purpose. Responsibility matrix is a responsible assignment chart that maps every task, milestone, or key decision involved in completing a project and assign which the roles of that assignee, whether responsible or accountable or consultant or informed. And that's why they call it RACI, or RACI, as an abbreviation for those roles of the team members in the project, or the responsible in the project. So either we call it responsibility matrix or RACI or RACI matrix. It shows the it shows the role for the stakeholders who are playing roles in this project. For example, I brought this example to maybe simulate to you how you can do it and use it in your capstone project. And you can even go with further details. This is just an abstract level or high level to show how it could happen in your courses. For example, you as a team, you are going to work in a capstone design project, and you are going to do introduction for the report, literature review, and search for similar work that's done related to what you are working on. Measure data, analyze the data, and then design your solution or model. Compare even alternatives, and then you put the solution or you select the alternative for the design. Then you write the report. Each of those tasks in the project will be assigned to someone by one of those roles. The responsible person, he is the one do the work. He is the one do the work. The difference between the responsible and the accountable, he is the person who is the owner of the work. He is the owner of the work. He or she must sign off or approve when the task or objective or decision is complete. This person must take sure the responsibilities are assigned in the matrix for all the related activities, and the success requires that there is only one person accountable, which means that he will be the one responsible for the completion of these activities. Sometimes, depend on the project level, because the project may contain sub-projects, like the mega projects, they be break down into small projects. So you may have more than one person accountable for tasks or for projects. But for instance, like a small project here, like Capstone or your course project or your small projects you're working on, the team leader in the team, he will be the one accountable. He is the one responsible to deliver the material to his supervisor. He is the one mainly, or he has the major communication with the supervisor and with the team members. So he will be the one accountable for the project, and he can be the project owner. The responsible, he will be the person work and do the task. In this case, for example, the introduction, where I assign it to member 1, he will be the one responsible to do it. Literature review will be member 3. Member 4, he will do the measure and the analyze of the data or the collected information. Member 2, which the leader, he will do the design. As he is accountable, also he will be responsible in completing the design activities. The solution part will be for member 1. Then member 3 again will do writing or closing the report. The supervisor here, he can play the role of the consultant. So the team or the team leader, they can consult the supervisor when they need an advice or how to progress in the next step. The committee of the capstone project, who will judge the project at the end and make the where the team, they will do their seminar and they will be attended to evaluate their work. Those can be informed, so they will keep receiving the report, the PowerPoint presentations before the seminar day, so they will be informed. Also, they can be sometimes playing the role of consultant, so you can put sometimes here in the design I and C, or even in any of those, you can put I and C, because you can consult them if they are expert, for example, in simulation, and your supervisor asks you to go and ask one of the committee members, since he is the expert in that field. So he can be, we can put committee member 1, committee member 2, and each one of them, you will assign the role, whether he's informed only for that task or informed and consultant also. If there is a sponsor for the project, also he has to be informed in terms of the results of the project. So this is how you do assign the responsibilities after you broke down the work here in the WBS. Then you start assigning the time for each activity, and you start seeing the sequence and how you will monitor the project. Also, here, after that, in the scheduling, you can assign those subtasks and tasks into your team members, and you put the role for each one in the team and the stakeholders of the team. الstakeholders هم جميع المستفيدين من المشروع، حتى لو ما كانوا بيأدوا المشروع أو بيقوموا به. المستفيدين من المشروع always considered to be stakeholder. In this example, we just narrow them to the supervisor committee. You can put also the department, the college, any level you can put. All these can be stakeholders, but since our scope here is narrow in the capstone project, so we just keep those as the main stakeholders in this project. Moving on to again the softwares that where you can use them for the controlling the project. Remember the activities of the project management, we divided into 3 levels: planning, scheduling. We did the work breakdown structure here. We did the responsibility matrix and the Gantt chart in the scheduling. For the controlling activity, monitoring, comparing, revising the action. This can done using software application where you can do controlling your project and managing your project. Those are very useful and very famous software application to do managing your projects, like teamwork. And there is the link for each one of them: Basecamp, Microsoft Project, Trello. It will show you somehow something like that, a dashboard where is the task, the time, the progress for the task. Even you can see the critical of some tasks if they were delayed, the productivity, the performance level, the completion level, the uncompleted work percentage, even the activity of the team members, who is the one completing his work on time. So you can even go to even a low level of tracking and managing the project. You can adjust also your plans. You can adjust the sequence of the process or the activities here on the software and adjust all the plan accordingly. You can visit those links and see which one maybe you prefer to use. I believe in the course Microsoft project will be used in project management or engineering management course, but you are not limited to any of those. All of them available and others available. See the one that suits your needs and you be more familiar and comfortable in use them. Some of those even offer chat platform where the team members, they can chat over with each other, whether on text or video calls. You conduct meetings. So all that will help in managing the project in one just application. I hope you enjoyed this session, learning more about project management, having some of the activities in the project management: planning, scheduling, and controlling. We took some of those activities into an examples. Thank you for watching, and I will see you soon with other video. Goodbye.